It always comes to this. More nice shit. Hello there guys, here to do another tattoo progress update today. I'm doing this one more or less right after the last one, as I had two sessions in a row. I had a session on Tuesday this week and a session on Wednesday, so there was like no time to make one in between the fact. Normally I get tattooed by Rick on Mondays, but there was some mess around and the appointment didn't end up working out that day, so Rick and I rescheduled to Tuesday, and we got almost nothing done. That being said, I'll show off what we got to. We did this back area. There's this part up here that hadn't been done. We did some purple, blue, and pink, and you can see some more pink in here. And yeah, so very, very small. That was probably the shortest session I've ever had with Rick. It was not the best. Like, I like what he did. I like the colors. I'm loving the color idea here, and it's all actually healing pretty well. It's, you know, coming out really cool. I'm loving all these colors. Rick wants to do this again, but I like how the creature's skin is more of a subtle kind of, but it has like this kind of cosmic feel to it. It really does have that kind of spacey vibe. I think once it's saturated completely and there's no more of the dynamic black, it's going to look very, very cool. But for now, it's a little hard to see. I just think this is the kind of thing that will come together more and more as time goes on. Like anything Rick and I do, that's no shock. That being said, yeah, it was a very disappointing session, and I knew going into it it wasn't going to be a very great session. I could tell. Sometimes you just have a feeling. When you've been working with someone for as long as Rick and I have worked together, you know, I would imagine that Rick on his own has tattooed me for somewhere around 1,000 hours. That's just Rick. Sometimes I feel like I work with him more than I work with my wife, and it's funny but true. Like, you're only as good as your dance partner in this industry. When you work one-on-one with someone, whether you're the client or the tattooer, especially if you're a professional client like me. And I say professional as in I do this almost as a career. As much as it is a fun hobby and passion project, I take my work very seriously, and you know, you can make what you want of that. That being said, I knew the writing was on the wall for this session to not be very, very good. But for me, like, first and foremost, I have tempered expectations. And, you know, I'm in it for the long run. I'm never very disappointed. I'm more disappointed when someone blows me off or no shows, or we just don't do anything for no reason. That sets me off. But he was here and he did what he could that day. He was having some troubles. I'm not going to get into that. Wasn't really the best time for me to be honest anyway. I had some really shitty shit go on. Pardon the profanity. Kind of had a bad run of luck with all kinds of things. Sometimes life just punches you when you're down. It just seems like you get knocked over and you just keep getting punched, you know? Like, just over and over and over again. It just keeps happening, and I feel like it's really good not to make crazy decisions or fly off in those moments, because it's not a normal thing that happens. You don't normally have everything go wrong continuously, and if you do think that that's the case, then it's usually a mindset problem. I've gotten very good at things not going my way or falling apart on me over the years, and I'm pretty good at bouncing back or adjusting and moving on, or not getting too upset and losing myself in the moment. That being said, I woke up Monday morning this week, and my account was disabled again on Instagram after having gotten it back just two and a half weeks ago. I wasn't given a reason why. I was told I violated the terms of Instagram service, and I thought maybe I would get it back the next day. Here we are. It's been 3 days now, 3 days, and I'm still getting the same message. I believe what happens is 30 days after they deactivate you, they'll delete your account forever. And you're really just kind of hoping that someone will care or answer your appeal, or last time if you watched my last video on this topic, I made a claim that my account was hacked and it got me back in the back door. Well, that's not working this time. So what I think has happened is, I complain a lot about some of the things that people will say about me, and people will often tell me that it doesn't matter, don't listen to the haters, just keep doing your thing. Well, it does matter sometimes, because I believe what's happened is I've been reported repeatedly for all kinds of reasons on Instagram for many years, and I think that the algorithm on Instagram is not intelligent or savvy enough to discern reality from fiction, and it can't tell a legitimate problem from someone disliking you. For example, my content on Instagram is clean. It's squeaky clean. It's cleaner than anything I've done on YouTube. There's almost no controversy. The only things I write about are positive. Some of my poetry, whatever, I've always written. It's something I don't share very often on here, but I've always been a bit of a poet at heart. I share some of that through my captions, and I show off my tattoo progress, and I show pictures of my family, and in return I receive the most disgusting comments you've ever seen about my wife, my son, me, my teeth, my son's teeth. I had a very disgruntled human being call my wife ugly one day, which she is definitely not ugly. I feel quite lucky to be with the beautiful lady that is my wife, but people will say any number of horrible things on my stuff, and I've reported a few of these comments. I had a guy wish cancer on me. I made a whole video about this. I woke up to a comment one morning, something to the effect of, because I'm too stupid to regret my decisions, he hoped I'd get cancer and life sorts me out. I reported that comment, and Instagram did not remove it. They did nothing with it. They never do. They never ever do. But for some reason, my content is blacklisted. It's at some point after I got fairly popular on Instagram, my native reach for posts became almost nothing. And it really clamped down about 2 years ago to a place where I stopped really caring about my Instagram, whether it did well or not. It was always secondary, and my account always grew anyway, because a lot of the reason I was a thing to begin with is people were interested in my journey, like they have been on here. I'm not bragging, it's just the truth. I made these vlogs just to show off my tattoo journey. That's it. I didn't care if they took off, and they did to some degree. They're not the most popular videos on YouTube, and they never will be. For one thing, I don't really put a lot of effort into my editing. I used to not even put pictures in here. I didn't write captions in here. I didn't even have proper thumbnails for the first few years. It was just a diary. That's basically what my Instagram was. But I never had any trouble like this on TikTok or YouTube. Only Instagram. So what's different? I don't know, because to be quite honest with you, I've been way more vocal, and judgmental. I've been more aggressive. I've been angrier. I've been more myself on YouTube than anywhere. If you watch through my podcast, there's probably all kinds of things that I could get upset someone with, because I talk very openly. I'm not a very hateful person, but I have my opinions, and I'm not mean-spirited in any of them, but I speak them on my YouTube quite often. I'm very open. If you're a decent human and you do your best, I don't think you should have to be worried about being open, because you won't have anything too crazy to say anyway. It won't upset too many people, is generally my idea, but you will now and then. I had a person accuse me of toxic positivity one time, which I find hilarious, because for the most part, my entire life, I've been a fairly cynical human being. But apparently, my captions on Instagram are toxically positive. So, take that with a grain of salt. That all said, I did all my usual things that I would do. Haven't gotten a response from Instagram, and I've kind of taken the mindset that it doesn't really matter if I get my account back or not, because what I've learned is that no matter what I do, I'm doing something wrong, and I don't know what it is. So if I can't stop that thing, then it's just going to happen again and again, because this is now the third time that this has happened. Now, it hadn't happened for about 4 years, but now it's happened twice in a row. And I think what's the deal is for a while I was just upsetting stupid people who thought, or misguided people who thought that blackout tattoos were in some way racist or offensive or whatever that argument was. I think I had those people after me. But then I think I started getting into a different lane when I started doing my gross out stuff. I started doing the body mod videos where I would put candy canes and stuff through my piercings, crayons, pencils, whatever it was. I did all kinds of them. I did one where I was eating a carrot through my labret piercing when it was much larger, and I had one through my nose in a snowstorm. I did one where I was a leprechaun roping a necklace up through my nose. I did all kinds of crazy shit. I was just having fun with it, honestly. I got bored of that stuff, but I think I got reported for all kinds of reasons for that stuff. One of those videos even got pulled saying that it was like not suitable for children to watch or something, which is bizarre as fuck. Like, it's absolutely insane. That it was dangerous because I was poking things through my face and I was going to influence children to do things like that. My back piece always got me in hot water because there's female genitalia in it. I'm sure people were reporting that. And then this latest thing that's happened is I think that tattooers have been reporting my content as misinformation. I think that's happened a lot. And I think that that's been the final straw. It's been bothering me for a long time, and I'm sure some people have thought that I've lost my mind, that it's not really that bad, that there aren't really any examples like that were that bad. But I honestly do think that it doesn't serve a lot of tattooers to have me exist and spreading my message. And I think that it's been insufferable enough for them to see it and have to interact with it. Have customers bring me up as an example quite often. And I believe that those kinds of people have taken to reporting my content as well. And I just think that it's been so many different directions that the hate has been coming from for, quite frankly, many, many years, going on a decade, that Instagram's algorithm is just so overwhelmed with it. And this is not me over-exaggerating my importance, because overall, I expect to die and not too many people to miss me one day. Don't get me wrong. I don't have an exaggerated sense of self-importance. I'm deeply nihilistic in many ways. But I do think that what happened to the algorithm on Instagram is it takes a certain amount of criticisms or reports about someone, and finally it gets to a place where it's like, well, this guy's a problem because so many people are saying so, and we're just going to do what makes sense and get rid of the problem. The issue with that is that, when you have no humans looking in on those things, it's going to get it wrong almost all the time. But they don't have time to check back on those things, and when they do, you're almost, you're kind of hoping that whoever looks at it, or if they ever do look at it, they're going to decide out of the goodness of their heart that you were wrongly reported and they reinstate you. But when they do something like that, it's only going to be a matter of time before it happens again if they don't change the system. So my only real concern is that this happens on other platforms as well. Now, I don't think that it will, but I hope that we get a little bit better at moderating these things. And I feel like as time goes on and people live more and more online, I wrote a caption on one of my posts many years ago. I'll see if I can find it. I won't be able to find it on my Instagram, mind you, because that's been deactivated. But it was something to the effect of, more people will know me as Remy than will ever know me as Jeremy, the person. And so at what point do these pictures and these videos and these social media identities become more us than we live in our day-to-day lives where we interact with people? We touch so many more people metaphorically online than we ever do in person. You know, we have such a bigger voice and such a bigger reach to find people and talk to people online and influence people online than we ever will have in reality or in person. And so at some point, we need to have a little more security in these identities that we're pouring so much into. You know, a lot of people watching out here, they're going to say, I don't even have an Instagram, Remy. Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of kids are growing up with TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, these platforms baked into them. Like, there's almost no difference between that and in person. Now, I've kept my son off of most of that stuff. There's no tag to my son's page on Instagram and any of those posts. I didn't even get on Instagram until I was 26, 27 years old, because I didn't see a point in engaging with it as a fun activity. I still don't. I do it as work or like kind of like a project, right? I don't do it to have fun. I don't do it to engage with my friends. I've done it almost like a video game that I'm playing to win. You know, like I'm building it. It's been a passion project and a journey, right? Much like my tattoos. But it's never been something I do just for fun. So, and it has made me some money too. There are people out there that are completely reliant on social media for their income. If those people can be reported by people for essentially nothing, and the algorithm is basically handcuffed to just do the will of some mob that's decided it doesn't like someone, based on what I can see as no vetting, then we need to address that, because especially in the years to come, these are vital parts of our lives, and more of our life is moving online. How much time do most people spend on their smartphone? It's more than they're going to be willing to admit. I can tell you that right now. You know, during the lockdowns, you know, I was going through quite a bit of depression because I'd never been laid off in my life. I've been a guy who's been employed his whole life, and I think my phone uptime ballooned to like 4 or 5 hours a day. And I'm sure I was in the middle of the row. I'm sure there were people who were on their phones pretty well every minute of the day. So, you know, it's a scary world to think that you can be spending that much time in a space and they can just shut you off based on nothing you've done wrong. And you could go back and you can look at all of my stuff that I've ever put anywhere, and there's never been any negativity around it. It's always been squeaky clean. So it's not even about what you do, it's about what people think of you. And that's not really always based on anything you can control. So a lot of food for thought in this, and the virtual space is getting a little scarier all the time to me, to be honest with you. I don't feel like we knew what we were creating with this, and before we figured it out, we gave it way too much control over our future. And now I don't know if there's any walking it back, save from walking out into the wilderness and leaving all of life behind us, all of, you know, modern day life, you know, for all its good and bad. If you don't engage with these platforms and these subspaces and subcultures that we've created, then you're kind of the odd man out, or even at worst, a pariah, a social pariah. You know, how many people do you know that don't have a phone? It is very rare. Even very old people have Facebook accounts, and some of them have Instagram accounts and even TikToks. I get a lot of criticism from very old people on my TikTok, some of them in their 70s, that quite rightly can't understand what the fuck I'm up to. I don't blame them for that. But it is a fact, you know, that even very old people are living in these spaces. Maybe they're not indulging it as much as someone who's going to be born into it, but you almost have no choice. This is the modern language we speak, and it's going to be more and more important as time goes on, and so we really should figure out better ways to secure these things, and there needs to be more transparency. At the very least, if you're someone out there with a large platform watching this, you really do need to make a backup or have a plan in case this happens to you. Fortunately, I had a smaller Instagram account that people can still reach me on, but I'm never going to get back to where I was before because, quite frankly, a lot of people are too lazy to seek it out. And those same people, they may never just encounter my pictures again in their explore page or their hashtag searches or whatever, because it's just luck to some degree. You know, they're going to have to really notice that I'm gone, and most people just watch the next show that comes on. You know, it's like I don't expect people to go pining for me. So when they take that kind of steam away from you, you rarely get it back. Fortunately for me, I have a large TikTok and I have this YouTube channel, and YouTube was always the one that I cared the most about anyway. So, and you know, I didn't really lose a whole lot of transition. You know, it was always a little embarrassing to me how little crossover I had from my Instagram to my YouTube. And when my YouTube video went up, my next YouTube video went up, I lost no viewers when my Instagram was down. So that tells me that almost no one that followed me on Instagram was supporting me on YouTube anyway. So I don't know how concerned I should be, but it is very irritating to seemingly lose a platform for no reason that I worked on for nearly 10 years. That had 214K subscribers. But that's life for you. You know, you're up 1 minute, you're down the next. And that's why I would never recommend anyone make social media their day job, because we don't own these things and they can be taken from us anytime for any reason. Anyway, sorry if this one was a bit of a downer. I hope it poses some questions to people out there. And I'll talk to you guys again next week when hopefully I have a better session with Rick. All right, have a great day.